Viewers, let's watch this video.
Have you ever wondered why a guy can date someone for 8 years, end the relationship, and marry someone else 6 months later? Now, this is a quick story time of what happened to my cousin. Now, if you follow my channel, you know I always talk about being engaged after 10 months, and my sister being engaged after 3 months, and my cousin being engaged after 3 months. Well, this is about my cousin. Now, she's a medical doctor and so is her husband. But when they both met, they didn't live in London and they lived outside London in a small village community. Now, when she saw him, she didn't realise he was a doctor and she thought he was a healthcare assistant or a cleaner. Because if you live outside London, you know that it's very rare that you find other black doctors in predominantly white environments. So when she saw him, she thought maybe he was a cleaner or a healthcare assistant. And she was cordial, she would smile along the corridors when they bumped into each other. Okay. Now, one day he got the courage to approach her and ask her out for a drink. And she was like, yeah, why not? He's Nigerian, why not? And then she didn't find out that he was one of the other doctors in the other ward. Okay? Now she was even more intrigued because she was like, oh my God, he's a doctor, that's great. I rarely see other people, you know. Then they started hanging out. And then about a few weeks in, they started having a fling. 3 months later, she found out that he was living with another woman. Yes, you heard that right. He was in a full relationship with another woman, and he's been with her, lived with her for 8 years. So when my cousin found out this information, she didn't know how to react. So she came and asked her mum, asked my mum, and other African aunties. We're Nigerian. So the only thing that all these African women were giving her advice on was, is this man married? Is he married in the court, in the mosque, in the church, in the temple? Has he made any legal attachments to this woman traditionally or anything like that? Is there a ring on his finger? She was like, no, there ain't none. They said, go for it. Pursue him. Don't stop. But she felt some kind of tinge of regret. And she asked him that, I don't think this is something that I can continue doing, knowing that afterwards you go home to another woman and you've been deceitful for the last 3 months. So I'm going to cut it loose and say bye-bye. Because she was so hurt, she then went on holiday for 2 months to Tanzania. And, you know, he, in those 2 months, ended the relationship with this other woman. To rewind and give some more context, this other woman had lived with him when he came to the UK from Nigeria. And if you know, if you're a medic in another country, before you can practice in the UK, you have to do an exam called the PLAB. And the PLAB is a very hard exam. So all the while he was studying for the PLAB, he met this other woman who was a librarian. And together they moved in together to, you know, save costs because London is very expensive. And they did so. His whole family loved this other woman. She cooked for them. They used to call her our wife. All this big titles without a ring. And it got to her head and she never actually realised we are not legally married. This relationship can end at any time. Hoping one day that he will propose. He never proposed. After my cousin's holiday in Tanzania, this guy went over there, tried to pursue her, told her, please come back. I want to marry you. And he proposed and she accepted. Okay. I heard about this story when I was like 8 years old, when I was a flower girl at their wedding and someone was making a joke at the wedding reception. And I found out more as time went on and I got older. But as an adult, I now look back and realise the other woman's flaw. She stayed with this guy for 8 years, waiting for him to pass this exam, waiting for the timing to be right, waiting for everything to be okay, while continuing her life, and her clock was ticking. Her clock was ticking and she was so comfortable in the role of being this cohabiting woman living with this guy who's now a doctor, hoping that one day he's going to propose. And he never did. And all he was doing was bidding his time until he met his match, his equal, you know. And it's so sad when I think about it. But, you know, my cousins are married now for 20-something years. So they're happily married. They have 2 kids, very successful. You know, it is what it is. But I say that to say this. Don't get too comfortable with a man when he hasn't put a ring in it. I know everyone says marriage isn't everything and you don't need a ring, he can still cheat. Yes, that's all true. But legally, until he has put a ring on your finger, don't act like a wife. Don't move in with a man and be comfortable because you've met his whole family and his friends and you cook for them over the weekend and everyone comes around to watch sports game and you're acting like the madam of the house. If he ain't married you, don't give out them privileges. If you live with a man right now and there's no end goal in regards to when are we making this legal, you are in a very bad predicament. In regards to my cousin and her husband, they got married within 6 months of knowing each other. This man had been dating another woman for 8 years. The whole family really didn't like my cousin when it was happening because they were like, no, this ain't right. He needs to marry the other girl. Number one, she's from the old township. This girl is different. This girl's a different tribe. We don't want her and stuff. She can't even cook because my cousin can't cook for shit. But this husband of hers really stuck up for her over and over again and said, I'm not marrying her for her cooking. I'm marrying her for her character. I like who she is. She's an equal. Do you understand? Like, my cousin was an equal in his eyes. So I say that to say this. Don't be a liability to a man. Don't think that, yes, you've bagged this guy and he's got a great job and he can look after me. If you ain't bringing nothing financially to the table, do you understand, brain-wise to the table, if you're not really bringing anything for yourself, because men are not stupid. They know when you're, trying to lynch of them. And even though this woman probably supported him while he was studying and all of this stuff, he didn't marry her in the end. And I really hope wherever she is in the world that she, married someone else and everything's working out for her. But the moral of the story is, until you have a ring on your finger, don't give a man no privileges. Don't move in with him. Don't act like a wife. Even if you meet his entire family, trust me, it don't mean nothing. Because the same people that were against my cousin at the beginning are now in favor of my cousin, because it's been many years and they've had to get over it. And I know this is very sad to hear, because, oh my God, he was cheating. Yes. But in the end, he said, I do to her. And the other woman, got nothing. Don't be the other woman. Don't be the other woman. If this man hasn't taken you to a mosque, to a temple, to a church, to a courthouse, and he hasn't said any vows to you, I commit myself to you, don't give yourself to a man easily and freely. Don't do it. Don't do it. Have the courage. Let this video help you have the courage to give him, say, when are we going to do this thing? When are we going to make this thing legal? Don't try and trap him with a baby, because having sex with him will not make him stay, and having a baby will not make him not leave you. Have some dignity, have some self-respect. Create boundaries. Create a timeline for yourself. Where are we headed? I want you to always remember this. A ship in the ocean that doesn't have a port to land in is just wandering aimlessly, waiting to be capsized by the tornado, by the hurricane. You don't want to be a ship waiting, wandering, just moving around, not knowing where they're going to port. You need to know where to port. Where to port? Where is this relationship heading? Tell yourself the truth. This is a quick one. I asked my cousin if she wanted to come on here and talk about it, but she was like, no, I'm a professional. I don't really want my business on the internet with my patients and stuff. And I get it, but she's honest. They're happily married. They're having a great time. Their kids are nearly grown up now. It's just, don't be the other woman. That's all I'm saying, okay? And I can also vouch for myself, because prior to me, if you saw my other video, my husband's last girlfriend was 7 years, and the one before that was 6 years. With me, 10 months. When he told me on the first date that his last girlfriend was 7 years and 6 years, in my mind, I locked it away. Serial long-term dater. It's not going to be me, mate. I continued dating him, but I knew in my mind, like, I'm not going to give this man more than 12 months of my life. I don't care how wonderful he is, because my time is so precious, and I love him, but I love me more. I want you to love yourself more than you love this man, okay?